CMI is your full-service human resources provider in Central Kentucky. For 15 years, CMI Human Resources has taken great pride in helping organizations and people work. Whether it's employee handbooks or help in filling a position, no job is too large or too small for CMI. Contact the professionals today at CMI Human Resources, 859-296-2800, or online at cmiconsulting.com.
Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is Greg Horn, and we are continuing our conversation today with our special guest, Sherry Matherly. And if you missed yesterday's program, these are only 14 minutes long, so I know so many people that like to listen to them either like in the morning while they're getting ready for work. Some listen to it on their way to work. Some like to do it while they're exercising. Whatever's convenient for you, because we know not everybody can listen live on the radio at 99.1 FM, 1245 to 1 p.m. But if you do need a pick-me-up, make sure that you tune in to our program, Hope is Here. You can listen online anywhere in the world at WJMM.com. We'll just review Sherry's story a little bit. Sherry got married. She had a child when she was in the Navy back in the 70s, which was not common for a lot of women to be in the Navy, but she did serve our country, so we're very thankful for that. She had an unplanned pregnancy, but thankfully she kept that precious child. Now it's her son that she loves so much, with grandkids and a wonderful daughter-in-law. And then she wound up marrying, tell me your husband's name again, I'm sorry.
Stan Matherly.
Stan. Marrying Stan. And then they had a precious little daughter named Dee. But like a lot of people, unfortunately, as I'm finding out as I get older, a lot of people had either parents or spouses that struggled with alcohol. So we're at that point now, and you were sharing that yesterday when we concluded our program that there was a lot of verbal, emotional, maybe even, I don't know, just controlling abuse. And did the word domestic violence, did that even exist back then, Sherry?
I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything about domestic violence. I just knew that I wasn't being treated right. I had never been talked to the way I was being talked to, or called things I was being called, or I mean, it's just terrible. I was walking on eggshells every minute. It was just crazy. It was just terrible. But so that's what I hate now. The word, I don't hate it, but when they talk about domestic violence, to me, that's like being hit all the time, being slapped and hit and stuff. Because violence is, but when you're just being verbally and mentally and controlling, that's not really violence per se. So abuse, I like domestic abuse. You're being abused. It is violence, but it's not. It's not
to say you're not being hit, hurt physically, but the emotional and mental toll is very painful. Is that correct?
It is. The verbal was terrible and emotional. And I used to beg him, just beat me up, just hit me. I used to beg him. He would not touch me at all. And I never did lay a hand on me. And I found out later, after I went to counseling one time, this one counselor told me that he never touched me because I was begging him to. Because he had the control of me the way he was doing it. If he touched me, he would be doing what I wanted to. Then he would lose all control immediately. So that's why he never touched me. So that was cool to understand that. That's why he never touched me when I was begging him, just please beat me up.
Yeah, and you could understand that because in your mind, you know what? I'd feel better, rather than get this verbal tongue lashing.
That's what I told him all the time. I said it would feel like it would not hurt as bad as while you're talking to me. Just beat me up.
And what would his response be?
He never would touch me. He's mouth.
Yeah, just went on verbally attacking you.
Yeah.
All right, so you fast forward through. Was there a point? I think you said you were married 17 years.
17 years, yeah.
Was there a point where you were finally like, you know what, I just can't do this anymore?
There was.
Or what?
In the meantime, my son, it was getting really bad. My son went to live with my parents because he was a teenager. So he went to live with my parents. And so it was Dee and I. And it was as she grew up and she got to be a teenager, then I didn't really realize how it affected her. But as she got older and she started pushing me to leave, I realized what it's doing to her. It's just the yelling and the fighting and the just constant mouthing and stuff. We both were walking on eggshells. We had to make sure we had to please him, not do anything to upset him, whatever. And she was pushing me really hard to leave, and I was scared to leave because I knew in my heart that he would kill me. He never threatened me, never, but I just knew that he would if I ever left him. And so one day, it got really, really bad one night. No physical, never physical at all. And so the next day, Dee and I had to go to town. We lived in the country, so Dee and I had to go to town. And going up the road, I decided, I can't do any more. I'm not going back. So God took care of us. God provided. I went somewhere. Dee went somewhere safe. We got out. I got an apartment. I mean, just God was in every single detail of this whole marriage. He was just the whole time, everything that I did. Like that day leaving, he had it all planned out before I ever knew what was going to happen. And I got an apartment. We got an apartment. And I worked. I worked at Toyota.
So you're working at Toyota then, and so
Right.
You got an apartment. So
And he never did work. He drank all the time. He worked for a few minutes. He was a stonemason. Was awesome stonemason. He did the stone walls on Paris Pike when they redid all them.
Mm-hmm.
He did all that work. He was very creative, very talented, but he drank so much he couldn't hold on to a job. And it was sad. It really was. I mean, I hated it because he was super talented, but it's just sad. He just couldn't stop drinking.
Yeah.
And so
you moved out. You got the apartment, and you're working at Toyota. You can't.
And that's
live
a God thing. I got on Toyota.
God took care of all that stuff. So, tell us about that day.
That day, August the 6th, 2003. I had gotten a divorce. I'd filed a divorce, but he would never sign the papers. And I was worried about the sheriff going out there because he had a lot of guns in the house. And I was afraid he would shoot them. So I told them, please be careful. But anyway, he wouldn't sign the paper. So this one day I had enough. I thought, well, let's go out to the house where we lived and talk to him. Just tell him, come on, sign the papers. We get divorced. You'll get half of everything I have at Toyota, and you'll have lots of money. You can do whatever you want to. See, he had a girlfriend. You do whatever you want to. Just leave me and Dee alone. And that was my plan. So I had texted Dee on the way from work and said, stay at the apartment. I'll be home just a few minutes, and we'll go get something to eat. I said, I'm going to run out and get the mail. And for some reason, going down there, I called my attorney to tell her I was going out there. That was a God thing. I don't know why I called her. It had to be a God thing. So I called her and said, well, let me get the sheriff, and we'll put you on a three-way call. So he said, if you go out there and he's there, call me, and I'll come out there. I said, okay. So I went out there, and his truck was there, but I couldn't get in the house because he had the front door barred. I couldn't get in. So I went around to the side window, bedroom window. I was going in the house. That's another God thing. I was going in the house. When I opened up the window, he was standing in the hallway, and I could see him. So I just slammed down the window, walked by, and got in my car, and I called the sheriff. And he said, well, wait for me. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I said, well, you better hurry up. If he comes out of that house, I'm leaving. The next thing I know, here he comes out of the house. And I think he asked me why I called the sheriff. I don't know. But I remember him pulling out a gun and saying, you picked a fine day to die. And that's the only last thing I remember.
Wow. So he comes out of your house. He's got a gun. You're sitting in your car, and he says to you, you picked a fine day to die. And then what happened after that?
He shot me in the, cause I don't remember all this, but he shot me in the head and shot himself and killed himself.
Wow.
And he shot me in, because I was in the car, shot me behind my left ear and went around the back of my head. It's in my right, the bullet is still in my right temple. They couldn't take it out. And I don't know how it happened, but I ended up on the other side of the road in a ditch. And a neighbor was coming down the road and saw the car. She thought I had a wreck, and she stopped. When she saw the blood, she knew. She called 911, but everybody was already on their way out there. And Dee had heard it from her friend. His mother had a police scan and heard what was going on. So her and her friend tried to get out there where we lived. Another God thing, every road was blocked that you could get to where we lived. So there's no way.
Were you in Bourbon County this
Yes,
time?
in
Is that
Bourbon
correct?
County.
Okay, and Dee's your daughter. How old was Dee at the time?
16.
Okay.
She was 16 the very first day of her junior year of high school.
First day, August 6th, 2003. Is that correct? So you said there the protection was since the roads were blocked, she couldn't get to you.
She couldn't get to him. Because her dad was laying, he shot himself right there. He was laying beside in the yard. They see it. That's what they told me.
Right. So you're.
They flew me.
You obviously don't remember this. So Sherry's telling us this because obviously this is what people have told her since then.
Yeah,
because
right.
she's out of it. But
Yeah.
She gets shot in the head and winds up. She's trying to drive off, but she gets shot. So she is in a ditch. Doesn't even know how. Her husband's committed suicide. He kills himself after he shot her. So they take you to the hospital.
They took me to Bourbon County Hospital, and they flew me by helicopter to the UK. And so I was in the UK for a while doing therapy. And then they sent me to Cardinal Hill.
Okay, you're acting like no big deal. I mean, this had to be life-threatening. I mean, you got shot in the head.
Yeah. Let me back up. They did surgery that night, and my family said they came out and said they had done everything they could do. They couldn't take the bullet out because it's too dangerous. Said they didn't know if I'd walk, talk, or see or anything. And that the only thing they knew to do was to pray. And there's
what was that? The only thing they knew to do was what?
To pray.
Okay. Yeah.
To pray.
So basically, they had done the medical people, the doctors, the
everything.
nurses. They'd done everything. They knew what to do. Right.
Right. Okay. And my family said that UK, they were turning people away. There's so many people at the emergency room that night. But my friend's Toyota went to Northeast, so the pastor from Northeast was there. Pastor of the church in Bourbon County was there. Pastor from Mom's and Dad's church was there. My sister's pastor was there. I mean, there was all kinds of pastors there. And everybody, so anyway, they said everybody just started praying. They prayed that night. So I made it through the night.
So you made it through that night, and I can remember because it's amazing. I didn't realize it was this close. I started as associate pastor at Northeast on August 4th, 2003.
Did you?
And so 2 days, later, your situation happens, and I remember that there, was somebody, Lowell, Jill Cheatham, that went to Northeast that, called and said, I've got a coworker, and didn't know you from Adam at the time, of course, but so we were praying there, and she said our senior pastor at the time, Whit Criswell, went, but
they said he was there.
So you've been shot in the head, you're in the hospital, and they've basically told you, told your family, Dee, your daughter, who's only 16, your son Tony. How old was Tony then at that time?
I see there's 14 years difference between them. 14, 16.
So he's 30.
Yeah.
So he's 30. So wow. So they're not knowing if their mom's going to live. Dee's dad is dead. Tony's stepdad. So they said all you could do is pray, and yet you made it through the next 24 hours.
I made it through the next 24 hours, and I guess they started doing therapy with me at UK. I can remember somebody walking me and saying, "Smell your flowers." And that's all I remember, UK. And then I went.
How long were you at UK? Do you remember that part?
I had no idea how long I was at UK.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hate to cut Sherry off there, but obviously powerful, powerful stuff. She's been shot in the head by her husband at the time. They were going through a divorce, and then he shot and killed himself. She's got a long road to recovery, but obviously she's still here, and she's going to tell you about this amazing recovery story. So we hope that you will tune in tomorrow as we continue our conversation with Sherry Matherly on Hope is Here. Make sure you check out the previous program on our website, hopeishere.today. I'm Greg Horn. We'll see you tomorrow.
Do you have a real estate question and don't know where to start? Contact Cecil Holmes with Rector Hayden Realtors. Whether you're in the market, looking to buy, sell, or rent a house, Cecil Holmes would be glad to help you with any real estate questions you have. Give him a call today at 326-0756. That's 326-0756. Cecil Combs with Rector Hayden Realtors.